everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Jamie again. I just want to say that I was listening to a clip there on YouTube from TalkSPORT from earlier, and I felt that I just wanted to do a video about this. Now, I'm not a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I've never been a Sheffield Wednesday fan. However, it is a club that I admire. You know, they've got a lot of history, they've got a big fan base, and yeah, I admire them. So I wanted to talk about this because the clip I was listening to was Scottish international Barry Bannan. And Barry is another, again, like Sheffield Wednesday, Barry's a player that I've really admired. Yeah, he's been a fantastic player in my opinion, especially during the English Championship with Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday now and that. He's a really, really tricky player, like him a lot. And my respect for him has gone up even more now because I listened to him in TalkSPORT and I thought he was brilliant. You know, the way he spoke about the unfortunate situation currently going on at Sheffield Wednesday. He was very open, he was very honest with Alan Brazil and Gabby Igbonaho about what was going on and how the players and the staff are all feeling and, you know, the ins and outs of it. So basically what's happened is, you know, they're in turmoil, they're not exactly 100% getting paid every single week, which, as Barry, you know, openly said, and I thought this was really honest, the fact that as players, they can live with missing a payment or two. But what you really feel sorry for is the staff there, you know, everybody, the kit men and all that, everybody behind the scenes that, you know, which makes a football club run, you know. Obviously we get to see the players every week and we get to see the managers and the coaches and all that, but there's so much work that's done behind the scenes in football. And Barry, you know, loads of people wouldn't admit what he admitted, that you know, that he could live with it, that pay, you know, for a week or two. But it's the guys behind the scenes who obviously don't get as much money, who it will properly affect them if they miss even 1 week's pay, because everybody's got bills to pay. And so Alan Brazil was basically just asking him, you know, what's going on and have you managed to speak to the owners and that? And Barry was, again, really honest by saying, well, no, because I've tried, I've asked questions, you know, even going back to pre-season there, we didn't play against Burnley, and I've been asking all sorts of questions for months now, and it's just not happening. This owner has went into hiding, and I just find it ridiculous in this day and age, and it's not just the fact that Sheffield Wednesday are a huge club and that, just any club who has to go through this kind of thing, you know. And we're not even spoke about the fans, you know, that the fans are also really, really affected by this because it's their club. But me and my family, we were doing in Morecambe a couple of months ago, and because obviously I do this podcast, I was like, I'd like to go down to the stadium and that, and just have a wee look about, because obviously the ongoings there as well, similar to Sheffield Wednesday, you know, there's a lot of turmoil off the park. And so it did there, and you know, it was actually a day that was all over the news because it was one of the days that Morecambe, you know, the owners had a deadline to reach an agreement and all that stuff, and we were there in the morning, and there was players coming out with letters, and you know, staff members coming out with letters and stuff, and it's just, it brings it home. You don't realise it as a fan, you don't understand that this is just people's livelihoods here. And obviously we think of footballers and they get paid a lot of money, and they do, you know, they get paid a lot of money, obviously not as much as the top level players, the top teams in that, you know, doing the championship in the first division, second division and that, but it's still their livelihoods. It's still, you know, if the more money you've got, the more bills you've got. So I just feel it's ridiculous what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, why buy the club in the first place if you're just going to run it into the ground and no care about people and no care about people's livelihoods? And I think one of the most things that Barry was saying was, which came across to me anyway, didn't quite say this, but what came across to me was the lack of communication that's getting done at Sheffield Wednesday. You know, they're basically in turmoil. It's affecting the players because everybody behind the scenes is worried, and yet the owners are coming out hiding. They're absolutely just, they're hiding in Thailand with no information, and it just seems like this happens far too often. I mean, it happens at the very, very top of the game as well. Look at the Glazers. Never seen a Glazer sit down with anybody really. You know, Sir Jim Radcliffe came in and sat down with Gary Neville for a while and all that. I've not seen, the only things you get out of the Glazers are now and again they'll do a passing comment in the street or whatever if a reporter comes up to them, but I get it's a business. I understand, that it's mostly about money for these guys, but surely when they take on these kind of companies and these companies that are in the public eye, because let's be honest, football clubs are companies. When these companies are in the public eye, surely they must realise that the scrutiny's got to be on them. As soon as anything goes wrong, as soon as they disappear or they come to financial problems and that. But again, I understand it's a business and these Thai owners, they want to sell the club and move on and that, but it should never be in this position in the first place. They should never have allowed their club to be in this position, allowed to treat people like this. Alan was asking Barry Bannan, is the PFA get involved in it like that? And Barry was saying a little bit, and it's involved in government now and all that. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It just feels like absolute con men, doesn't it? Now, whether that's true or no, whether that's just was a genuine owner who came in and, he wanted to make a success of the club or whatever, I don't know. But the way that it's went about now, it looks like he's just conned the club. It looks like he's conned the fans and he's conned the league and he's conned football. And I'm not making accusations. That's just how it looks. And you've got loads of owners like this, loads of owners actually. But you've also got amazing owners, absolutely amazing owners out there. I look at like Tony Bloom at Brighton, amazing. He's took over at Hearts, just a genuinely smart, intelligent businessman, and obviously he cares about the club and he cares about the players and he cares about his staff as well. And I look at the owner of Peterborough, Dara. I think he's amazing. I think obviously he's very open and honest. We spoke to Jason Naismith about him the other day, who was obviously at Peterborough with him, and he said he was really nice to him and stuff. But I just feel that there's too many owners in this day and age that just get let away with stuff that should never have been allowed. That we've got to start vetting these guys. We've got to start the football leagues, whatever football leagues, whatever head of football leagues, they have to vet the proper owners here, because they can't just come in and allow people just to basically toy with people's livelihoods and people's lives, because that's what's going on here. And then, it should not be allowed to happen in any walk of life that a company does this, or an owner of a company does this to somebody. So, I wish everybody at Sheffield Wednesday all the best, I really do, especially all the players and the staff and that, and obviously the fans will be really worried as well, because it's their club. It's when you're a supporter of a football club, it's a thing that that you carry through your childhood and through your life and that. So if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan and you're worried about the future of your club, I mean, that is a big deal. That is a big deal, because you're scared that, am I going to lose my team here? What do I do? Where do I turn to? I can't just turn to another team. It's not as simple as that. It's for anybody who doesn't support a football team, they probably don't realise that you can't just switch a team. It's your life, it's in your heart. And so here's hoping they sort that out and the owner does the right thing, shows some balls, becomes a man and decides to do the right thing, pay the players, play the staff, sell the club, move on with his life, and allow that club to move on with the life and that the people. So that's all I just wanted to say. I mean, it's another brilliant interview for TalkSPORT. I mean, I love the thing. Absolutely love the radio station. As I told Shaban Ahern, who was brilliant on the podcast, I just love TalkSPORT. So thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed my thoughts here, please subscribe to the channel and look out for all the future ones. Thanks very much.